Hello everybody, I'm Jeremy Devereaux with Houston Window Experts, and we're going to be showing you how to do a how-to video on installing a new construction window. After the house is framed, you got your Tyvek up. So we got our opening right here that's already been framed. So there's many different ways of doing it. A lot of people like to cut an X. I like to start at the top here. And then come down the middle. It's called a modified eye cut. I don't want to go all the way down. I want to go down to about right in here. And then I'm going to cut over to the corners. And again, there's many different ways to do it. This is the one that I like. So all this will fold in. So I do like to, this is very important. Cut a 45 here and a 45 here. That way I can lift my flap up. This will be important for when we install here. So we're just going to wrap this in. I'm going to grab a stapler here. I'm just wrapping it in here. This will protect the studs. In my bottom. You can just cut this excess or roll it around however you decide to do it. Okay. I'm going to put some bow ties in here. So we're going to go about like this, about like this. This is going to flash our corners. So we'll put this first here. So get that real tight in there in that corner. Flash it on around. It just helps us get our corner flashed well there. We're going to go over the top of that as well. Okay, so that's step one. Then I'm going to put a piece out here. I'm going to go right even with the height of this. So now I'm going to put one in the seal and run it up the edges like this. So we're installing this like shingles. We're starting on the bottom so that this one will overlap like this. So any water that gets in here will drain out properly in the drainage plane like it's supposed to. Okay. I'm just going to put a little slit here so that can roll around. And because that butterfly was there, there's no hole that's rolling over the top like it should. So if you don't do the butterfly first, you could have a little bitty gap right there. You can see that that's where the butterfly is. And then some people will put another butterfly over the top of that, and that's certainly fine. You can do that. So we want to roll this down. So once we install this window here, we're going to seal it inside. So any water that gets around it, we want it to roll out. Okay, so this will be our window. I'm going to do a little dry fit here. Okay, perfect. Okay, let me set it out for just 1 second. This window's been installed a few times because we use this as our training wall. So we show guys how to do this. So that's why it's kind of has caulk on it and stuff. But what we want to do is right on the edge of the opening, I'm going to put a bead of caulking all the way around except the bottom, because we want that to drain. You can do that, but you could also just caulk the back of the window. I prefer to do the house because when you pick it up, you might bump something and get messy. So you find that edge there, you put a nice big bead, continuous bead. You never want to have a breaking point. I'm going to put a little piece of tape here to hold this up. Get that out of my way so I can have a nice big bead here as well. We're ready to put the window in. So I do like to lift the window just a little bit. When you frame it, the rough opening, they frame it a 1/2 inch bigger than the window. So you have try to end up with about 1/4 inch of play all the way around. So we're going to set these here like this. So I'll pick the window up. Jason can slide those shims under. Okay. Got it? All right, you got your hands on it? Okay. So if you can see, some of this caulk is already bulging out. That's perfect. That's what we want. So Jason will center the opening inside. We just want to kind of center it the best that we can. It'll just help the sheetrock look good. So we'll center that, but we have to have the window level. Sometimes the framing isn't perfectly level, so we'll do our best with it. So we'll start here. We're pretty good there. I'm going to move it just a little bit that way. So I'm going to just start in a hole. These are the screws that we like to use because they have a flat head on them. A lot of people just use nails. That's fine too. Okay, so we've got it pinned. So this is just a small sample window, but next you want to make sure it's operating correctly. Jason, can you just shut it and lock it and make sure our operation is good? Okay. And you'll just want to double check and make sure it hasn't moved on you. We're still good there. So I'm going to go ahead and get this other corner so that it doesn't go out of square on me. And then you can do every other hole if you would like. Some people like to do a lot more. It's really not necessary in my opinion, but if you did every other hole, that's more than enough. So you'll want to just check it, make sure, go inside, open it, close it, make sure all the functions work. Make sure you got it just right. All this oozing out is a good thing. You should see that sealant coming out of those holes. Some people they butter it up even more. For example, if you don't see one coming out, it's good to just seal all those things up. So you just want to check and make sure all the way around you got some oozing out a little bit. Except the bottom. We want that water to drain out down here if it ever got around that window there. Okay, next will be our flashing tape. Jason, do you have a foam gun you could get me? So we're going to run this up to about right there. So we'll get it right up next to the window there and just barely above it. Doesn't matter how long this is, as long as it's getting on top of this one here. You just want to make sure it's nice and push down everywhere. Same thing, just make sure it's nice and sealed everywhere. Okay, now we're going to do our top. We're going to overlap a little bit here. So we'll go a little bit past this piece. Make sure this is sealed really well, push down. So we got all this sealed up, so now we're going to bring down our Tyvek like this, so it goes back to overlapping. If we would have had this down and put the tape on top of it, then we would have had that seam right there where water would be trying to get in behind that tape. So that's why we do our flap and our 45 cut there. You could put a bead of caulk here. Most people don't, but it just help you kind of get it in place there if you want to. You can use some Tyvek tape here. This is what they use on, if they have the whole run of a house and they just don't have a long enough piece, they'll overlap them and use this Tyvek tape just to seal seams up. So I think that's good on our outside. Any water that gets behind your siding, your brick, whatever, as it comes down, it will hit this window. It'll come around here, but because the tape is flashed the proper way, it'll just continue to run on down. Nothing to stop it here because we did it in the right procedure, and it'll just run down and come out the weep holes of your house. So that's the exterior. Let me show you the interior. So in here, you're always going to see different sizes. Depends on how they frame the house. We got larger here. Technically, we could have lifted it, but there's no reason to. The sheetrock guy can double up here or whatever he has to do. So you got two options in here. I like to start at least with foam. This is a low expansion foam here. We love the OSI Quad Max products. And this right here, see how it fills that in? Any water, if it ever got behind that Tyvek somehow, it will be stopped by this foam. And you're probably not going to have water in behind there, but air, any kind of moisture trying to come through, this does a great job of that. Usually you just overfill it just a little bit, and then after it dries, you can take a nice sharp knife and run it around it and cut it clean. Okay, so on the bottom, this being our seal flashing, I just want to put a nice big bead of caulk down here and just seal that up. Any water, if it got around the Tyvek, the tape, anything, the caulking, it's gonna sit on that seal flashing and try to come into the house. And this right here is what's gonna stop it. You can put a nice big bead. And my phone's not all the way dry yet. I could wait a little bit, but I like to cut it and then just bring that up just a little bit, just like that. Run it up about 6 inches. And that's it. This bead will never be seen because that's where your window stool goes. See how we have a window stool here? This was a totally different install, but that'll go on top right there and butt the window and cover that bead. But it's just a great system to keep water from ever getting to your frame of your house, to your sheetrock, anything. After this dries, you can just trim it right off. And anyway, I think that's it. Thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions, please reach out to us and we'll help you out. Thank you.